All right. Hey, everybody. Welcome to MasterClass episode 25. I feel so old that it's been that long. All right. So today we are talking about how to leverage hyperscaler marketplaces. And I'm honored to be joined by three people today. I'm going to be very outnumbered, a little intimidating, but I have three folks from our good partners at TD SYNNEX. And we're going to have Bree Berry. She is a strategic business manager for hyperscalers at TD SYNNEX. And she leads partnerships with top cloud providers, drives growth across public and private sector markets. And with a background in talent acquisition and go-to-market strategy, she brings a people-first approach to bringing scalable cloud ecosystems and high-impact partner programs. I am struggling reading today. I'm sorry, Bree. But yeah, welcome to the show, Bree.
Thank you. Thank you. Excited to be here.
And also we have Charlie Barnett. He is a vendor acquisition executive at TD SYNNEX, and he specializes in building strategic alliances with emerging cloud technologies. And he drives go-to-market execution and scalable channel growth by helping vendors unlock the full value of distribution. Welcome, Charlie.
Yeah, thank you. Thrilled to be here.
All right. And then finally, we have Ben Stockler. He is a sales manager for cloud solutions at TD SYNNEX, and he's focused on driving growth through cloud marketplaces and strategic business development. He helps vendors scale their cloud offerings by navigating marketplace ecosystems and unlocking new routes to market. Welcome, Ben.
Thanks, Trevor. Morning.
And all three of you have very relevant and rich experience in our topic today of the hyperscaler marketplaces. So appreciate you guys joining, and we have some great content to discuss today. Bree, I believe you are up first, so I'll turn the time over to you to start us off.
Yes, perfect. So today we really wanted to get into helping, ISV partners and resellers understand how to engage hyperscaler marketplaces. So when we look at just kind of our goal for today, we want to talk through the different trends that are happening in the market, to discuss what the entry point with TD SYNNEX looks like as it relates to how to truly upstand this route to market. And then we'll talk about really unpacking how to develop a strategy to ensure you have more exposure to partners. And then we'll close just showcasing some of our resources that we have at TD SYNNEX available today. And then also getting to go a little bit further into some open Q&A. So if we could go to next slide. One more, perfect. Alrighty. For the next slide, we'll kind of talk about just looking at market and industry data. So if we can go to the next slide, I'll run through some of the Canalys stats that we're seeing. In my particular role at TD SYNNEX, we really get the opportunity to figure out what is happening in the broader channel. What are things that are really growing at accelerated rates that we want our ISV partners to understand? So one of the things that we got to do at one of our recent TD SYNNEX events was to bring in an expert from one of the bodies of research that really is putting out a ton of great data within just the technology sector as a whole. So off to the left, you'll see some really interesting metrics around how cloud marketplaces are growing. So when we look at kind of what are those key areas and themes that we're seeing from a solutions perspective that are being transacted through marketplaces: AI, machine learning, infrastructure, dev tools, and security. At TD SYNNEX, I would say we've seen a ton of success within the security realm. The second piece is 40% of customers want the ability to integrate their marketplace with their existing cost management structures. So one of the areas that myself and Charlie and Ben have gotten to help develop in terms of a resource is really understanding how marketplaces can help partners and their end customers really kind of focus on saving money or better optimizing if they have existing cloud commits, which I know they'll get into later. But for you as a solutions provider, how do you help share that story, and how do you help ensure that you have enough of a presence in the marketplace to expand your partner subset and therefore get more customers? And then the last piece, 35% want easier integration with some of their applications and automation. And so that's really the third layer of what we're seeing, which is if we can automate and make things easier, and if there are these marketplaces that have your solutions available, how to provide easier access to those who are purchasing. So if you had the opportunity, there was a huge article that was put out from Canalys last year. So these stats to the right really showcase some high-level summaries from the article that I think really do justice to why marketplaces matter and why there's so much momentum. The first is that more than 50% of hyperscaler marketplace sales will be through channel partners by 2027. So when Charlie and Ben share later about the importance of partnering with TD SYNNEX, we know that the marketplaces are out there, but by coming through TD SYNNEX, you get to expand your portfolio of partners who are engaging with your solutions and selling them and becoming authorized to be kind of another voice to get those into the hands of more customers. And because marketplaces are a place where so many folks are going to procure, it's really important that that becomes a value add to your overall strategy. The second is looking just at the number of sales. So when we talk about those third-party solutions, and for those of you who may fall in any of the categories that we talked about in terms of solutions that exist, the overall sales will exceed over $45 billion by the end of this year. And then if you look at the 2027 stat, it'll be upwards of $85 billion. And then the last piece, and I always love this, over 71% of the channel have expressed an interest in getting to see this as a growth opportunity. And so I always say if we can help our vendors or ISVs that we support or third-party providers be able to integrate what you're already doing in the market with our partner ecosystem, the sky is really the limit. So for next slide, I wanted to talk through just kind of what we're seeing from a buying pattern perspective. So at TD SYNNEX, we use the phrase buyers of the future, and that's really our chance to say, hey, we're seeing pretty dramatic shifts in the way that folks are wanting to purchase technology solutions. And when we think about the sort of legacy model around distribution or how things have been procured, there's some changes happening. And at TD SYNNEX, we're not only wanting to get ahead, but to help all of our vendor partners be a part of that. So when we look at trends from buying patterns, we see that 70% of millennials are wanting to purchase things online or through digital platforms. And I think many people can recognize that so much of that comes back to obviously the evolution of Amazon from an individual perspective, but that's shifted how technology is procured across the ecosystem. And we pulled out millennials when we were looking through this data because we know that as the workforce shifts and as folks are starting to take on leadership roles and they're in those decision-making roles, a lot of leadership today in the customer bases that would purchase your solutions are in that millennial age frame. And so that's why we pulled out that specific stat to say it's really important to ensure that you're up to speed. The second is when we talk about industry decision makers, they're relying on digital sources. And so they're going to those automated platforms or places where things can be automated from a transaction perspective for complex buying decisions and technologies. So whether that's cloud, whether that's security, AI, that is where they are going. And then the last piece, and this is actually something that we've spent a lot of time internally at TD SYNNEX ensuring that we have a method to expand around this, but 75% of people prefer not to interact with a salesperson. So for us, that means that we want to ensure your solution is in the most places, that it's automated, and that we have the capability to bring visibility to solutions that don't necessarily always have to go through a salesperson and phone call method. So marketplace obviously is an expanded route to market, and that can happen through hyperscaler marketplaces, that can happen through our internal cloud management platform, but really it's our way to say we want to ensure that we're getting you the most visibility as it relates to your solution.
Yeah, I don't know about you, Bree, but these stats all represent me. I might as well have taken this survey myself because I'm like, yes, me. I mean, I'm not technically a millennial. I'm right on the border, but yeah, I love purchasing things online. It's just easier. And, as much as you can avoid a salesperson, especially with negative experiences that people have around those many times, it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, I always think I have like a once a month day that I hold for my customer service day where I make all my calls if I have any issues. But I'm like, it's because you're so used to buying things in an automated fashion and online. And so, yeah, you just don't want to be kind of stalled having to have conversations to understand the complexity of things. So
Yeah. Yeah, that's
I
really good
love it.
information. I'm just emphasizes why we keep hearing about marketplaces so much these days. Those are impressive stats of the amount of dollars that are predicted on the previous slide. And then, of course, I think this resonates really well too.
Yeah, absolutely. And the last slide that I'll walk through is just the success that we've seen at TD SYNNEX. So as it relates to Marketplace as a whole in 2024, and I guess just for context, a lot of the momentum around hyperscaler marketplaces really began in 2023. And we can look back to see that AWS was really the kind of steward in this space, leading the charge. So when we look at our overall impact with TD SYNNEX, we've had massive revenue growth, over 275%. We have over 100 ISVs represented and 400 solutions available within that. So to date, we've seen 20% of our cloud partners transacting, which to me just showcases the necessity of ensuring that you are available within a marketplace fashion as it relates to your solution. With the average deal size being 170K or more. I've seen many multi-million dollar ones. So I think if you're not visible in the marketplace, then certainly it's time to add that to your strategy.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm sure we'll talk about it more later, but another reason that marketplaces are really taking off is it's where money has already been spent. So with those big 3 hyperscaler providers, a lot of companies have this pre-purchased, these credits essentially, that makes the buying process a lot easier. So as us and a partner have been listed on Azure, for example, there's people with the MAC credits, the already purchased Azure funds, that instead of having to go through red tape and a lot of budget acquisition, all that stuff, just, oh yeah, let's just use a couple of MAC credits on you guys, and it makes it so much easier. So it's, yeah, opening a lot of doors from the vendor side for sure. All right, thank you, Bree. I think we're on to our next one here. So for the next topic, with the entry point with TD SYNNEX, talking about all the wonderful things and ways that TD SYNNEX can help. We'll have Charlie come in here and talk about that. And I was just joking with Charlie Barnett. We're probably related somewhere along the line. Changed our names from Barnett. Yeah,
I think so, man.
Somewhere we're connected thousands of years ago, probably.
I believe so, but good to see you again. I'm glad to be here.
All right, yeah, take us away.
Yeah, well, thank you all for the time, and thank you for everyone for being here. And great job, Bree, on sharing that. And so, from our perspective and in my role of new vendor relationships in this model, when it comes to marketplace, we've really worked to align our strategy and our resources with, the primary needs and really the pain points that we've seen through dealing with vendors in the ISV community. These obviously, just on the screen here, just a few of the biggest challenges vendors will face when considering this as a route to market. But they're all incredibly relevant and important to be successful in this motion, as Bree is laying out. It's a great opportunity, but you've got to be positioned to take advantage of it. For example, great solutions without the right profitability, margin structure, that can inhibit growth with partners. I mean, at the end of the day, we've got to all make sure we can leverage this and grow and make money together and have the structure that benefits for all. With so many marketplace options that are out there, understanding the best practices and honestly cutting through some of the noise becomes key. This is Trevor, to your point. Everybody's talking about it. Sort of like the AI thing. You're hearing it all the time. You need a trusted advisor there that can cut through the noise and help get to the business of this. And we really work to do that. Our goal at TD SYNNEX is to address all the challenges with one simple solution, with the strategic alignment through these marketplaces and through a marketplace strategy together. It's proven to really be the best starting point to the vendor community out there. The best starting point to partnership, allowing us to engage with more ISVs than we really ever have before, and allowing those ISVs to take advantage of our teams, our resources, and the capabilities of a global distributor. So bottom line is, again, meeting the vendors where they are, addressing these challenges together, and helping to grow the business. And if we look at the next slide, this slide demonstrates a couple of things. It demonstrates how marketplace has become not just a focus for our vendor and our sales orgs, but really as the primary point of engagement. We're very proud to be the world's largest distributor. I believe the new Forbes announcement was just today, just came out this morning, I think. And we're very, very proud of our standing there in North America and globally. And we built a lot of that success in our traditional distribution model that everybody knows. And that's really represented on the left side. Incredible vendors that we have at TD SYNNEX. Fantastic sales team, sales orgs, business development, and phenomenal operational support to make all that happen. But as our direction technology report indicated, and if you see on LinkedIn, we're actually soliciting feedback this year for that report. From, I think last year had over 1,000 of our best partners providing us data on what they need to grow the business. And that direction technology report last year indicated, I believe 54% of our partners shared that flexible consumption models is a big part of their go forward. And that's driven by end user demand and end user need. And so flexible models beyond just kind of the standard sales motion is really key for success. In addition to the point we made, the hyperscalers have, over $400 billion committed to them at this point. And that's just for this coming year. And, those cloud commits to be burned down, it's created incredible opportunities for these ISVs to be part of. So the data, the market changes, the evolving buying habits of the end user, that's what drove us to develop this marketplace team. This team really fills that gap between our traditional model and the partner training, the partner enablement, the sales support, all those operational pieces. It fills that gap between our traditional motion and the alignment with the hyperscalers, and to take advantage of the marketplace model. And in the midst of all that is the best leveraging of our StreamOne platform, which is, of course, the most robust marketplace of our own and distribution from terms of internal tools. And so in my role, it's imperative that we have the absolute best vendors that are out there and in the audience, hopefully here today, that want to engage in this and align with this marketplace team to take advantage of that. And as we look at the next, speaking of the right vendors, we really work to make this as a very scalable and a centralized beginning point, as we've already said. The form you see here, this is our marketplace engagement form. Really simple. There's 3 primary personas that are utilizing this form. The first link there, that is to set up the consultation. That's to where, hey, I know I need to get into this. I need help with this. I need to have a conversation with someone to really understand how we can grow business together. So a vendor can click, submit that there. We'll set up that consultation. The other persona is a vendor that, hey, we're ready to roll. We're doing this. We get it. We want to move quickly. Great. We've got an automated journey. That vendor, they are ready to get started. They can click. They can come on board. Automated agreement, automated onboarding. And then we'll start having the go-to-market conversations, but we can move scalably and quickly through that. And quite honestly, that third persona is for our existing vendors. We have a robust line card of vendors. Many of them and many of our biggest, allowing us to support them in a new route to market with Marketplace. And so very simple addendum, let's get it done, let's automate, let's go, and let's support you in this motion as well. So the bottom line is we've made it to where for a new ISV, a streamlined, a scalable way for us to begin conversation. And the last slide of mine, if we go to the next, we'll have this in the deck going out to everyone, simple QR code. If you're in the audits and you're an ISV, hey, I need to set up that consultation. Great. QR code right there. Honestly, it's going to come to me and my group, and we're going to set up that talk around this as, where are you? Where's your maturity? What are your needs? For those, again, that are more mature, they're ready to rock and roll. Let's get this thing going. That second QR code is ready to get started and moving forward there. So, again, an exciting time. It helps us engage with the broadest array of ISVs we've ever been able to engage with, and in a motion that has so much opportunity and funding and buying coming to it. So we're working to align all of that together, and very thankful to be able to share that today with the group.
Yeah, thank you, Charlie. And this is super important because I know, just again, I like to throw my anecdotal evidence in there. But as we try to tackle it ourselves as an ISV, it was just intimidating, right? You have that first challenge of not sure what the first steps are. Yeah. It's just the unfamiliarity is very prevalent out there. And also, the unknowns of, well, what if I don't really have hosting, or I don't really have solutions that I offer on Google or AWS, even Azure? Am I still able to list on those marketplaces? Yeah. What does that look like? There's a lot of questions that I hear that we asked ourselves and I hear out there as we have these topics or this these discussions. So very cool that you guys have a way to assist all the ISVs out there with similar challenges.
Yeah. Trevor, the last thing I'd add to that is just that these, it's exciting. We're building this with the hyperscalers, with the vendors, with the partners. But the exciting thing is, these programs change quite a bit. AWS has made recent changes in their program, and we can be that thought leader for the vendor as the largest distributor with these hyperscalers to understand those changes, help those vendors navigate these changes, because these programs are and will continue to evolve. So yeah, it's an exciting point, Trevor. Thank you.
Very cool. Yeah, I appreciate you sharing all that knowledge, and have you hang out in the green room. We'll have some questions afterward. All right. So Ben, bringing you on to finish out the three-headed strategy of what we're talking about here.
Excellent. No, thank you, Trevor. Thank you for having me. So I've been building out essentially the cloud marketplace team at TD SYNNEX, as Bree mentioned, going back to 2023, and as Charlie just mentioned, certainly an evolution, right? We've learned quite a bit, and we're continuing to see change, and really excited to see what we can do, especially over the next 3-4 years, as marketplace continues to accelerate. So, what I always like to say, look, getting to marketplace is just not enough, right? From our standpoint, right? It's, you get to marketplace, you're there, you're in a very large sea of other, solutions that are also available through marketplace. And from our standpoint, you really need to develop a distribution go-to-market in order to have success through the channel. So really, what I want to go through today, I really want to share some of our insights, some of our perspective on what we've seen work, maybe what we've seen not work, from some of our more successful ISVs that leverage TD SYNNEX for marketplace sales. And really makes sense to start out with StreamOne. If we want to go back one slide here real quick, thank you. So really makes sense to start out with StreamOne, right? So what is StreamOne? So it's our platform. It's a platform that does a lot of things. It really, at a very high level, it's a platform that allows partners to access an ecosystem of software solutions that they can sell to their downstream end customers, right? So that's at a very, very high level. There are some other nuances, right? From an infrastructure as a service perspective, it does complete billing management for all the hyperscalers. So if you have resellers or you have end customers that are consuming AWS or Azure or GCP, this platform allows our channel partners to manage those accounts, invoice accounts, all that fun stuff, kind of outside of the topic of our conversation around marketplace. It does allow for syndication, right? So we can pull in listings from, at this point, the Azure marketplace into StreamOne, and that allows us to extend pre-negotiated discounted rates to our partners. They can then extend those or buy on the behalf of their end customers through those syndicated listings. I did mention Microsoft only right now, AWS and Google. Fingers crossed. We are hoping that feature becomes available very soon. Mentioned about MSPs, a lot of our install base, a lot of our partner base are managed service providers. StreamOne allows our managed service providers to, buy on the behalf of their end customers. Maybe their end customer, they are managing their end customers' cloud environments. StreamOne allows them to easily and simply purchase software solutions. We allowed this to be white labeled. We have channel partners that don't have an interest of building out a full e-commerce ecosystem. They want to create a curated private marketplace for their end customers and allow their end customers to self-serve and to buy themselves, right? Extend it to different business units within their end customers. And so that's a feature of StreamOne that we think is really compelling for a lot of our partners. And then lastly, global reach, right? So I know a lot of us, we kind of look very closely at North America, maybe the US market, but a lot of vendors are trying to figure out, how do they get into EMEA? How do we get into APJ? How do we get into some of these more LATAM regions that are a little more tricky to get into? There's a lot of nuance there. StreamOne is our global platform. This is where our partners are transacting across the globe. We can go on to the next slide here. So some of you who are on, you may be in the process of evaluating whether the channel partner or the channel model is right for you. Maybe you've heard about it. Maybe you're thinking that it's a good way to accelerate your sales, right? So I really want to share out a bit of a philosophy that we have. It's kind of become a philosophy that we use internally, and really it's a philosophy that helps our ISVs establish a channel partner strategy and then allows them to then accelerate and then to be successful, right? And so we use this three-legged stool analogy is what we've come to use internally, and it's really based on trust, friction, and money. Trust, starting out with that, obviously it's a two-way street, especially when working with the channel, right? Our channel partners really need to make sure that the solution works as intended, that your company is committed to supporting the partners, and then obviously really before becoming a vendor at TD SYNNEX, we have a pretty rigid validation process that we go through, right? So we make sure that you're not being funded by, any sort of hostile foreign nations and things like that could be, counterproductive to having a successful relationship with the channel, right? So we do this due diligence. Our partners really rely on this, right? So a lot of our channel partners will come to us and they trust of our process, that we go and we validate these solutions, that they are indeed going to work intended, that they are a very reliable and relevant solution. We see that when moving over to friction, we see that when we market our ISVs to resellers, we really try to market our ISVs to resellers as really a low friction way to transact. It's really a way that we can kind of maybe help complement some existing solutions that, maybe they are a migration specialist, right? Or maybe they, do a lot of pro serve around a particular area. And being able to insert ISV solutions and SaaS solutions into a model like that can be tricky, right? But if we market it and we promote it out as a very easy way to implement and to transact, then that would lead to a higher level of adoption and a more successful sales cycle with our partners. And then lastly, money. No surprise there. People, partners, sales reps, they want to know how they're going to make money. Really when developing out your channel strategy, really want to make sure that you show the partner how they're making money. Really understanding if all parties are profitable in the transaction, right? You're not going to be super successful if you're asking a channel partner to reduce their margins or to potentially earn less. And certainly driving sales adoption, making sure that deals are equitably compensated, even for your own internal sales teams. That's something that we see as being really critical to make sure that there's not a kind of a competitive element to your internal sales folks when going through the channel. We'll go on to the next slide here. So we've talked a little bit, some of the operations, right? StreamOne, it's a platform. It's really it's a channel, right? It's a channel for customers to buy software in this case, right? We've talked a little bit about some of the philosophy, right? And now we kind of transition into, okay, that's great. We meet all these requirements. Now, how do we scale, right? And so, we really align a couple different areas, right? Certainly there's some table stakes with each of the hyperscalers, whether it's AWS or GCP or Microsoft, right? And making sure that you meet the minimum technical validations, right? So each of the hyperscalers has their own flavor. They want to make sure, they have to make sure that your solution is secure, that it adheres to the specific governance that they require within their architectural reviews and things like that, right? And so that's really going to be one of the main elements that we look at for a successful kind of framework to help accelerate and to scale. Repeatable sales alignment, right? Certainly making sure that you're aligning the sales staffs together, right? Co-selling is really, really critically important. It gets buy-in from the hyperscalers. Maybe the hyperscaler sales teams, have other relationships that they have with the end customer. They can do some digging or do some selling alongside you. So it's really, really critical. And then making sure that you're not leaving kind of money on the table, right? A lot of ISV partner programs exist out there. I know AWS just announced a few others here, but really it's an opportunity for you to unlock MDF. It's a way for you to differentiate your solution across your competition, right? So making sure that that the AWS or the Azure, the GCP sellers are making sure that they're fully comped on any of your sales that are going through the marketplace, right? Middle section, obviously having an ideal partner profile. That's something that we as TD SYNNEX can help with. We have no shortage of data around what are the kind of ideal partners that we think we want to market you to. So we have no shortage of partners that we can, and no shortage of data that we can pull from and really be targeted and making sure that your messaging, whatever that messaging is, it's targeted, it's hitting the right folks that can make that decision. And then, lastly, some of the resources, so I mentioned the, StreamOne marketplace and our platform as a whole. We also have an ISV builder program, right? So for those of you who are familiar with the AWS ISV Accelerate program, we have programs that we've built out that will actually help ISVs to complete their submission and basically join through that program, right? So that's our goal, is to get you to graduate into that program, which unlocks MDF, things like that. So those are programs that we offer for our ISV community as part of our partnership with AWS, and it's done at no cost. And then lastly, Kickstart program. It's really kind of a digital top of funnel activity, right? Kind of, let's see what we can do to drive some demand. Let's see who we can get some interest from, do some really targeted co-sell. So yeah, really, really excited about this. It's really, a lot of different levers. We could probably spend, a whole day breaking out, a full strategy here. So, to touch on it here in 15 minutes is it's tricky, but there's a lot of levers that you can pull with distribution. Yeah, we go on to the last. Oh, good, Trevor.
Yeah, I was just going to say, sorry, it's such a short time that we do these. It's masterclass, which is usually a deep dive, but we end up giving just little teasers, and then of course can have further conversations as people need.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and we certainly want to have one-to-one conversations, right? Because it's not a one-size-fits-all engagement, right? We understand that there are nuances in the business, and your goals. You have different strategies, right? Maybe you want to be very intentional and going into Latin America because it's an underserved market, but you don't know how to. Those are the types of things that we can get very, very specific in a lot of our one-to-one conversations. So yeah, happy to take that as any follow-up there. Lastly, and I think it makes sense right here. I was debating on including this, but I decided to, right? This is really what we see from a reselling partner profile, right? So for those partners who are engaging with my team, with TD SYNNEX on, through marketplace, whether it's through private offers, whether it's burning down cloud commits, things like that. So we really bucket these partners into 3 different categories, right? You have our partners that, it's more than I want, that are just getting started, right? But we're still in the early stages, right? So we have these partners that they're not really speaking cloud marketplace. It's not part of their vernacular. Their sales staffs aren't trained on it. They don't really get it. Think of them as kind of your legacy resellers that are used to selling software through a traditional like volume licensing kind of resale model, right? They're not really thinking about it. They don't really have much alignment with cloud. Maybe they've signed up for maybe being a Google Cloud partner, but nothing else. So that's another element that they really, pretty new to cloud marketplace, and that's where a lot of our time is spent, is really developing those partners. We always have partners that are very reactive, right? So maybe they serve some enterprise end customers. Those end customers are saying, hey, I've got a cloud commit. I want to buy my whatever solution through you. Hey, can you help me transact this through marketplace because you've added a lot of value on the sale? I just happen to want to buy it through marketplace. So that represents some partners that are doing 1 to 2 transactions a year. Certainly, we want to get them to be doing more than just 1 or 2 transactions a year. And then lastly are the partners who are really using marketplace as a competitive differentiator, right? And specifically the hyperscaler marketplace. And these are the ones that are very successful at co-selling with the sales teams at the hyperscalers, right? They've really automated the customer procurement, right? So the customers are knowledgeable about how to procure in this model and understanding where the budgets come from, et cetera. And I talk about using marketplace as a competitive differentiator. We see partners that are successful. They're, the very first time they're hearing about an opportunity, whether it's a security solution or a migration opportunity, whatever it is, they're asking about cloud budgets and cloud commits, right? Are there committed dollars that end customer has for a hyperscaler? If so, it could make the procurement process for this security solution or for this migration opportunity, it could make it easier. It could be a faster sales cycle, right? And the very next phone call that sales rep that the partner's making should be to the hyperscaler sales rep, right? And saying, hey, I'm working with this end customer. We share this end customer. I'm working with them on a security solution. I'd like to run this deal through cloud marketplace. Hey, can we go co-sell on this together, right? And so that's something that we see as a really a big differentiator there, and really those partners that are successful. That's a common denominator that I'm seeing. And then lastly, last slide here. So these are just a couple resources that we have. You'll want to make sure that you have access to our private offer catalog just to see how we're positioning. This is what we go out into market with and what we promote out to our channel partners. There's no shortage of complexity to a lot of the private offer models. And so we've developed private offer guides that really simplify the different models to try and make it as easy for someone who isn't living, breathing, sleeping cloud marketplace all day. So we have those collateral, those documents together. We have a deal desk, right? So a lot of times our partners will come through and ask for a specific solution. Maybe they don't know where else to start. So that's where they can go and create or request a private offer through TD SYNNEX. And then a lot of opportunity one pages, right? These are largely reports from IDC, from Canalys, from other, kind of third-party analysts that are talking about the opportunity. And those are where you can go and get access to that. So with that, Trevor, I think I'll turn it over to you because my part is done.
All right. Thank you. A lot of great information. Appreciate all those resources there that people can check out, whether watching live or on the recording. So I want to bring everybody back in. Hopefully you're done eating your snacks in the green room and ready to answer a couple of questions here. So one question that I've had come up a lot is, I've heard your colleague Matt Kars talk about this, and I've heard from others. As an ISV or as a vendor, getting on these marketplaces, it feels like naturally you're kind of cutting off your partners in being able to be a part of that equation. So is it on the vendor to assist the partners? Because the partners need to take some steps to get approved and be able to transact through these marketplaces. Or is it on the partner side? Or what can you do as an ISV to assist your partners to be included in that whole conversation and not cut off from the sales process?
That's a great question.
I'll take a stab and turn it over to Bree or to Charlie as well for their input. Right? You need to understand that cloud marketplace. A lot of the channel and a lot of partners, we do see this as a competitive motion, right? So when your solution becomes listed on the cloud hyperscaler marketplace, and customers can go and buy direct, right? You have the decision to make whether you want to work with end customers direct, whether you want to work through channel partners, right? And so what we see a lot of times is it's great to be able to support an end customer and to be very, very tight with the opportunity, and you're co-sell or not co-selling, but you're selling, you're actively engaged with that end customer. The conversation around scale is really where the limitation comes, right? So when it comes to you've been successful and that's great, right? There becomes sort of a point where it becomes very expensive to hire out more account managers, more sales staff, more folks to manage those end customer opportunities. And what a lot of partners or what a lot of ISVs say is, well, let me shift those dollars. Let me, instead of paying a team of 10 BDRs, X amount of dollars per year, very, very expensive to do. Let me shift that over to some marketing investments into a channel strategy and then promote out our solution and then get all of our channel partners to go and sell it on our behalf. And then I'm just going to give the channel partners, their percentage of margin, whatever that range looks like that you want to extend. And that's really what is going to help drive the right behavior from what we see. So hopefully that helps. I don't know if anybody else has any other thoughts, but those are just my
I would say that with these programs continuing to evolve as they have, we've seen changes over the last year, significant changes and more to come. Partners need help navigating that as well. And they come to, say, Ben's team to understand how can they grow through this model, and how can this change has happened with AWS. What does that mean for me and my business? And so we're helping as their liaison, relationship thought leader, and a lot of those aspects. But again, we're going to bring those, when those partners have those needs, we're going to bring them back to the vendors we have the relationship with. We're going to bring them back to those vendors that are wanting to provide margin and support to these partners. And so, we have that great scenario where we sit to be able to be that connective tissue across all. So the vendors want to grow. Absolutely. We want them to grow. And we want them to grow, and the partners want to grow through this. And again, we can work to kind of make those right connections, find out what the partners' end users' needs are, connect with the vendor, and help the vendors build messaging and relationship to the partners that are on their target list. Hey, I need to engage with these guys. Help me get some inroads there. We've got great teams that support these partners for sales through marketplace and outside of that in a more traditional motion as well.
Yep. Yeah, thank you guys. All right, we got time. Well, we're over time. We're going to make time for one more question that Jane Sell posted here. So what are some of the key roles that partners should play in order to help with marketplace success? So, and is it the validation, alignment, and engagement area, or what are some of your thoughts on that?
I mean, I talked about trust and trust being earned, right? And the term two-way street, and I think a two-way street falls 100% to the partners as well, right? I mean, partners need to be proactively, aligning your solutions to their end customers. They need to be the ones in market to drive that messaging. It just shouldn't be, them coming and just saying, "Hey, I have this end customer. Can I get some wholesale pricing?" Right? So, those are the types of ideal partners that you want to work with, and those are the types of partners that are really successful with cloud marketplace. Now, the ones that I really enjoy working with, I didn't really touch on it too much, but each of the hyperscalers, they have sort of their own partner programs designed just for marketplace, right? So we have for example, we have a program with AWS where the end customers can actually earn AWS credits based on what they buy through marketplace. And so really making sure that our channel partners understand how to position those types of programs to their end customers to help drive that value for that end customer, and really making sure that they're not just sitting back being reactive, that they're actually out in market and being proactive with their end customers.
Very good.
Yeah, I think the only thing I would add is just what we had mentioned around sort of the cost optimization and cost savings piece. I think as we've talked to partners at events, one of the biggest things we hear is just like, I don't get it operationally. And to me, that's where TD SYNNEX provides value. So once you're up to speed, you then get to be this very proactive and trusted source, has been said, to help end customers and clients understand within their overall IT budget each year, how can marketplace and the way that cloud commits operate, how can that help save them money in their overall budget? And so all of a sudden you become a huge asset in a way where you're not just selling solutions, but you're able to really help them become more lean.
Yeah, and I see Don's comment in chat as well, and I just wanted to highlight, because I think it's a great call out, especially with Jay McBain saying that 80% of the buyers in the market don't really want to talk to a human, right? Cloud in and of itself is a extremely consultative kind of sale, right? I mean, at the end of the day, cloud sellers aren't really driving it's not end of quarter and we're trying to close and we're trying to get that purchase order and we're trying to sell. It's such a consultative sale. And I think that the byproduct of a very consultative kind of account management, type relationship from end customers to their partners, marketplace, it doesn't need to be an overly complex sale, right? And so it really becomes kind of a byproduct of partners adding a lot of value. They're consulting, they're adding services, they're looking at your architecture, they're doing the things that the hyperscalers expect that they're doing for those end customers. And as a byproduct, it's just, hey, here's a private offer, right? Here's what you need to do to secure the environment that we just stood up in Azure or into GCP, right? And so, I think the market, it kind of blends. It's kind of that hybrid, right? You've got this kind of legacy mindset of, I need to ship something off of a shelf and I need it to be overnighted, and okay, in order for me to do that, I need a PO, and there's kind of this transaction model. Whereas with cloud, it becomes much less. It becomes much more of a, hey, we've been adding this value around these this cloud infrastructure. We need to make sure that we have the right solutions and the right software to deploy to be able to support it.
And to that same point, with the less interaction, we've set up that from the new vendor standpoint. I want to have a consultation with everybody we possibly can, but if a vendor's ready, hey, I need to get into this with TD SYNNEX, those forums we shared the links for, the QR codes, it's an automated journey to engage with us if you'd prefer it to be. So to that point, we're trying to streamline and scale across, not just getting the right vendors in, but also helping partners grow the business and the vendors grow their business too.
Yeah, both sides of it. That's great. All right. Well, thank you so much, all three of you, Ben, Bree, Charlie. Appreciate you guys joining, sharing some of your knowledge. And I know that I've learned a lot through all this process and talking about it with you and in preparation for this session. So Hopefully it's been helpful to everybody out there also. And if you've felt lost, or that no matter where you are on the journey, really, if you're just starting out or trying to get your partners involved, whatever it may be, we got some resources here for you. So thank you again, guys. And until next time.
Thank you, Tim.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.